Higher tank defense. Hey guys, what's up? So we have a new update on Advanced Server featuring tanks and defense items. The developer said more and more damage dealers are focusing more on defensive items because of their high value. I'm guessing it's about the fighters who are using full defense builds instead of damage. To address this issue, they will adjust two things. Number one is that all tanks will have higher defense growth. This means they will naturally gain more defense stats as they level up. Number two is they lower the defense stats of all defense items. So higher defense stats, but all defense items will now give lower stats. I think this is a good approach because some tanks are easily outclassed by fighters with certain builds. And if you've noticed, there are tanks with weaker stats compared to fighters. Anyway, here's a quick rundown of the changes. Hylos, Uranus, Tigreal, Johnson, Franco, Terizla, Carmilla, Masha, Hilda, Grok, Kufra, Atlas, Chip, Edith, Akai, Lolita, Belleric, and Gatot Kacha. All of them will have higher magic and physical defense growth. Meanwhile, Barats, Fredrin, and Minotaur will only get physical defense growth, no magic for them. Moving on, the items that changed are the following. Blade Armor gets minus 20 defense. The new Thunderbelt defense is cut down to 15. Cursed Helmet will get minus 5. Anti-Cuirass is minus 14 points. Oracle gets minus 5 on both types of defense. Athena's Shield is at minus 14. Dominant Size gets minus 15 defense, and the duration of its debuff effect is shortened from 3 seconds down to 1 second. The item requirement Black Eye Shield also gets minus 4 defense. Immortality gets minus 5. Brute Force at minus 7. Radiant Armor with minus 8 defense. Magic Blade with minus 6. And Rose Gold Meteor gets minus 7. Included in the list are the item requirements that also took a hit. So what can our tank users say about this one? Now let's move on to the hero adjustments. Julian will now enhance his basic attacks after casting a single skill. So with a single skill, my basic attacks are enhanced already. I don't need to complete a full combo to activate his passive. The new passive will last for 2 seconds, but it can stack for every skill casted. So that's a total of 6 seconds when doing his full combo. The developer said it's a way to make him stronger before the level 3 mark. With the new feature, he can now insert 1 or 2 basic attacks in between skills to activate the true damage of Starlium Sight. It will also improve his jungling in the early game. Next is the buff on Saber. The developer said his second skill dash is too far, which makes it difficult to follow up with an enhanced basic attack. To fix this, they've shortened the dash distance by 1 unit. As you can see, there's a noticeable difference when compared to official server. To balance this adjustment, his enhanced basic attack will get a bigger range. There's now a mini dash when activating his enhanced basic attack, and we can see the range after using his second skill. But that's not all, because his ultimate is also buffed with a bigger range. Here's the comparison of advanced and official server version. See the difference? So with this adjustment, you can now reach more enemies with his ultimate, and you don't have to use your second skill to close the distance. What can our Saber users say about this update? Moving on, we have the buff on Harith. Using his second skill will now give him shield even if there are no enemies nearby, and it takes effect before the dash. On official server, the shield is applied after the dash. Nice, right? Another change is that he will no longer gain bonus shield when more enemies are around him. That means he will gain the same amount of shield regardless of the number of enemies. To balance, they've increased the base and magic scaling of the shield. Another buff is the reduced backswing of his first skill. It means the animation is faster, giving you more time to follow up with another attack. If we compare it on slow motion, we can see that the advanced server landed the damage faster. Similar to Harith, Khaleed and Alucard also had their backswing shortened. For Khaleed, it's his enhanced basic attack. It means it's smoother to follow up with other skills after activating his passive. For Alucard, it's the first phase of his ultimate. That means there's less downtime when you cast the skill, allowing you to follow up with an enhanced basic attack. Next is the buff on Gloo. His ultimate will now have HP based damage because the developers want to increase his ability to solo kill. That's a 3% for every basic attack during his ultimate. And similar to the other tank adjustments, his defense growth is improved. Next on our list is Ling. Now that his second skill no longer costs energy when used from a wall, double casting the skill gave the opponents no chance to react. To balance, they've added a cooldown to the enhanced version. As you can see, this skill has a cooldown preventing you from casting it again. I'm not sure how our Ling players will feel about this one. You get to save energy, but you have to wait for the cooldown. Next is Natan. Cancelling his ultimate early will no longer refund its cooldown. But in return, the cooldown has been reduced by 10 seconds on all levels. I guess it's still a buff if you like to use cooldown reduction items. Another change is the lower mana cost for his first and second skill. Next on our list is the experimental changes on Joy. They're still testing it, and this time, they've reduced the movement boost you get from her ultimate. Remember though, she lost her CC immunity in exchange for higher damage. Next is Ruby. This one is already implemented on official server. They lowered her initial spell vamp from 10% down to 5%. Another official server update is Melissa, where you can no longer hit enemies even if you don't have a target. It's more like a bug fix on Melissa, right? Next is Masha, where they further lowered the HP cost of her skills. Another change is the added CC removal when losing her HP bar. Here's an example. By the way, this Masha adjustment is also live on official server. Moving on, we have the new hero, Zhuxin. They are nerfing her with higher mana cost and lower base damage. But in return, her passive will give more mana regen for every stack. I don't think it's enough though. Next is the item Pandora's Box, where they've changed the name to Wishing Lantern. It now deals magic damage instead of true damage. And they've increased its requirement from 300 to 500. That means you need to deal 500 damage before you can activate a Seeker. But there's a twist. The 500 damage requirement is calculated before the reduction of magic defense. For example, my damage is 709 and I get to activate one Seeker. Now I'm going to add 3 silence robes to the enemy. So it lowered my damage to 462. But even though it's lower than 500, I still managed to activate one Seeker from the Wishing Lantern. That's because my real damage without magic defense is 709. So it's easy to activate the Seekers even if the enemy has high magic defense. The only downside is that the Seeker's damage can be reduced by magic defense. Next, we have the adjustment on the new talent, Warcry. It can now be activated with skills where one skill equals one stack. Multi-damage skills can only count as one stack, and hitting multiple enemies will not give you more stacks. You can combine basic attack and skills to trigger the effect. And that's it for this week's advanced server update. So do you like the changes on the tanks and defense items? Share your thoughts in the comment section. That's all for this video. Stay safe and thank you for watching.